By the spring of 1864, the Confederacy had few ships left in its navy, and almost all of its valuable ports had surrendered. Yet Lincoln knew he needed an even more aggressive commander to crush the remaining Confederate strongholds. With that in mind, he chose Ulysses S. Grant to be the new commander of the Union forces. Under Grant, the Union continued to fight the still formidable rebel army, and once again the main effort was to capture the Confederate capital of Richmond. Despite ominous dangers, heavy losses of soldiers, and defeats in battles, Grant took advantage of the Union's superiority of manpower, supplies, and financial support. His strategy was to attack the Confederacy with relentless pressure and totally destroy the South's capacity to wage war. In the East, he would confront Lee's army near Richmond and try to crush it. Grant would also send out Generals William T. Sherman and Phil Sheridan to decimate what was left of the Confederate Empire. Together, this vice-like grip would eventually strangle the South. General Grant's military plans also extended to the people, homes, food, crops, and goods of the Confederacy. Termed as total war, Union leaders purposely destroyed anything in their path, with the intent that the afflicted South would be forced to surrender. In May of 1864, while Grant's forces marched through a swampy, heavily treed area of Virginia known as the Wilderness, Lee's army launched a fierce attack upon them. A series of bloody battles known as the Wilderness Campaign was to follow. During the course of the battle, the smoldering bullets had started the area ablaze. Many wounded soldiers were trapped in the fire and died in the flames before they could be rescued. After 2 days, Grant's troops had taken a horrible beating and were forced to regroup. Lee assumed that Grant would go back to Washington as the other Union commanders had often done. But this time, the aggressive Grant did not retreat. Instead, he slipped around Lee and clashed with him again at a town called Spotsylvania. In a tumultuous 8-day battle which followed, a total of almost 30,000 men were lost on both sides. Again, Grant sidestepped Lee, only to collide with him shortly after at Cold Harbor. In one 20-minute engagement, Grant lost more than 7,000 of his troops. But Grant would not accept defeat and would let nothing stop him. Grant knew that no matter how bad his losses, he could always replace his men and supplies, something Lee could not do. Grant realized he could not break through Lee's lines by attacking from the front, so he slipped south to a vital Confederate rail and communications center called Petersburg. In a series of engagements at Petersburg, Grant could not break through Lee's defenses, so Grant put Petersburg under a siege and cut them off until they were forced to surrender. Grant sent out William Tecumseh Sherman and 3 armies of 60,000 soldiers to strike out and destroy Confederate railroad and supply communications. Sherman's armies propelled out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and marched south to capture and burn down Atlanta, Georgia. Just as Sherman's troops took Atlanta, Navy Commander Farragut seized the last major Confederate stronghold at Mobile, Alabama. These 2 victories, Atlanta and Mobile, brought renewed hope to many Northerners, and in November of 1864, Lincoln won a toughly fought re-election as president. With Atlanta in ruins, Sherman set out to Savannah, and in a devastating 450-mile march to the sea, he destroyed almost everything in his path. His troops burned homes and farms, seized valuables, and destroyed food supplies as he executed Grant's policy of total war.
"I will make Georgia howl,"
claimed Sherman. The accounts from a former Southern slave tell the story of what it was like to be in Sherman's